Once I hit you with that bad space, you ain't coming back. No control, all the let you give me space. Like tell, hit you with that bad space, you ain't coming back.
Yo, what's up guys? We're back with another mobile game video. It's your boy LoneAzn, aka Brandon, if you guys know me. So there's a game that I've been consistently playing that is a gacha game, and this game is Nikke, Goddess of Victory. This game dropped on iOS and Android around November 4th. Normally I get really bored of idle games, and this one definitely just hits different. There's a lot of plot, if you know what I mean, and on top of that there is a pretty in-depth system on how to build your team. So with most idle games, you are meant to sit back, grind the game, stop for a little bit, pick it back up maybe the next day, and collect resources. This game has been lots of fun for me, and it hits so many different avenues. So much depth of feel when it comes to building your team and optimizing damage, which most games, especially like this, are based around DPS checks. And honestly, this game, you can grind the game for in-game currency, for rolls, or you can choose to be a whale and roll for as many units as you want, spending probably hundreds of dollars just to get some good rolls. But you know, if that's your thing, that's your thing. I'm normally a free-to-play player. I mean, I'll buy things every now and then, but they're not like super crazy. I'll maybe spend like $2 to $15 within like a 3-month span if things are really good in the store, or there's like just a little bit more that I need for a roll, for like a 10 pull. And honestly, when you start games like this, if you re-roll and do the crazy things so many different people do just to get a good start, it gets kind of tedious. I've seen people do 5 to 10 accounts re-rolling, and then there's me. I get 1 account, maybe 2 if I'm feeling kind of feisty and want to be on more than one server, but as of right now I only have 2 accounts, one on NA and one on EU, which is called Global on this one. And yeah, during the start a lot of people do re-rolls, and I mean, my first rolls weren't amazing on the NA account, and I'm probably showing my Global account right now just because I don't play on the NA. But yeah, I got some pretty decent rolls and just kept going with it and progressed the story, and then decided to do my rolls as I go. And it turned out pretty decent for a free-to-play account. I still have some pretty good units. Got at least 1 limit break on a 3-star, and it's pretty crazy because this game has so many different weapon types too. You have the AR users, you have shotguns, SMGs, machine guns, snipers, and rocket launchers. So your team comp can change based on the level, and most levels you get to see the range that you have to focus on for damage. It could be long range, which you don't want an SMG or shotgun for, but you have so many different tools to be able to finish levels. Some levels are crazy. I don't like some of them, like the capture the point ones where you have to destroy units inside a little captured area, and kind of like capture the zone, but you're defending the zone, like a tower defense. There's also, well actually there's the tower defense style one too, where you have to stop units from getting to the goal, and then they have this normal mode well, I'm gonna call it normal mode, which is just your units fighting. But it's pretty crazy because it's like third person, and it's squad based. So as you progress the story, you're always going to either have one main DPS team, which my main DPS team is like auto characters right now because those are my highest. So those are my crazy DPS checks. But there's a lot of different things you got to look at, like the character skills, the characters alone just for their perks, and then you have the burst skills, which also is pretty crazy because you're adding all these things into a mobile game to make it more in-depth for the player. Because now you're not just thinking about like, oh, I'm just gonna grab this team because they're all 3 stars, they're SSRs, they're all gonna stick in the squad. But then you really gotta think about the skills that they offer for each other. Do they mix and match very well? Are they very compatible when it comes to stacking on top of each other? And it gets crazy because then you have your gear and all this other stuff if you're into mobile games like this, or even just idle games in general. But yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff, which with everything, they even have elements, and that's another factor into creating your squad. Like, yes, it gives you like an extra 10% boost, but does it really matter if your other team is actually just out DPSing the quote unquote, let's say, Pokemon super effectiveness? So it doesn't really bother much when it comes to elements, but it can help depending on the stage. If you really want to cheese the stage, you can. But yeah, as you progress through the game, you can auto through most of it. You will hit some walls, which is pretty standard in games like this, but you can sometimes cheese them, and the auto does help because it does focus on units that are within a specific range, and then you don't have to focus so much on holding your thumb on the screen, trying to aim and shoot the correct units, or holding a charge if you're using a sniper or a rocket launcher and then letting go in optimal time. And it's pretty crazy. I have gotten frustrated on some levels just because I have exceeded the power level but fail, and that's usually due to lack of targeting the correct enemies. Like, let's say my shotgun user is trying to shoot somebody super far away versus shooting the enemy unit that's literally right in front of its face where it has the most damage. And you know, there's little tidbits like that that really make it hard to progress. So sometimes you want to pay attention, other times you don't. But yeah, there's a lot of cool aspects. You can do manual mode on while you're doing auto, so you can take control. There's also other things you can do, like turn off auto burst and continue using auto shoot, so that it'll shoot for you, and then you just choose when to burst, because there are instances when my burst happens before the big boss comes out for the level, and sometimes you want to save it for that. And honestly, with everything throughout this game, you get in-game currency pretty easily. It's just like any normal mobile game, you gotta grind it, and you gotta constantly be on top of it if you want to get enough in-game currency for rolls. There's a lot of things you can do to push for those rolls, and mainly you're gonna do dailies. So log in and do a few things, log back off, collect your daily rewards, and then on top of that, as you progress the story, it also gives you in-game currency, so that helps out a lot, especially when you're just trying to play free to play. And if you're lucky, you might get some good rolls. Like, for instance, when the first banner dropped, I got extremely lucky. I got the banner character on my first roll and my second roll. So they actually gave out, I believe, 2 free 10 pulls. And during those 2 free 10 pulls, I was able to grab her and also limit break her, which, to my surprise, that was the best of my luck in a while in games like this, especially. Usually it's like a 2 to 4% chance of getting the banner characters, and I got lucky enough to roll into that twice, so that was a pretty good feeling. And then there's a really good mechanic in the game, which is synchronization. And I know a lot of games like this have it where you can level up just your main 5 characters or highest limited characters. So right now I have some SRs that are maxed out for limit breaks, and I put those in there and I level those up. So your first cap for characters is usually 80 unless it's said elsewhere. So like the 1 stars are like, I believe they're capped at like 40 or 60. But either or, when you put the characters that are higher leveled into the synchronization and then place units underneath it, it synchronizes the levels to the lowest one of the 5. So it's pretty nice, since I can't limit break a lot of my 3 stars since they're so rough to pull. It makes it a lot easier to still make them viable to use, especially as I'm progressing through the story, and it makes it a lot more enjoyable, because then I can only focus, or not can only focus, I will mainly focus on 5 units. Once they hit their cap and I have limit breaks that are higher, I can pull them out, take all those resources and put them back into another unit without really being detrimental to progressing the story and leveling that character. And it helps a lot. This game has a lot of physics, so if you're looking for a game with anime waifus, guns, dating sim aspects, random crazy encounters, really in-depth strategy, and some pretty, not really lackluster story, but it kind of keeps you on your toes, but at the same time it's kind of monotonous, and there's a lot of crazy things in there, as well as base building to an extent. It's not like your traditional base builder, but it's build this for this unit, build this for that unit, and then you get story and all this other stuff. And this game it hits so many different levels of different gameplays that it just makes it a lot more enjoyable. The one downside I will say about this game is that once you hit below the threshold of the power level, you are nerfed really hard, and it kind of makes you have to push for getting materials to level and all this other stuff. And there's a lot of crazy guides you can do, or not do, I'm going Papega mode, but there's a lot of guides you can watch, and there's a lot of pretty cool YouTubers that I enjoyed watching when this game initially released. If you guys want a guide, I can definitely build something, especially for if you want to get into this game, or if you want to get into this style of game. I can do guides for that. But currently we are enjoying the game, and by we I mean me. I'm enjoying the game. But a little touch on maybe the next video, Marvel Snap. JC has been all over this game. and he's been enjoying it. He likes it more than Hearthstone and all these other games that I would enjoy more. But Marvel Snap is pretty interesting. I enjoy it, and yeah, maybe we'll talk about it in the next video. So this is your boy LoneAzn, aka Brandon. I'm about to sign out. Keep your phone charged. Keep your Wi-Fi strong. May every good roll come your way. I'm gonna find a catchphrase to say at the end of these videos. But I'll catch you guys in the next one. Deuces.